The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, housing affordability is the focus of a community meeting with local elected officials. SouthCoast Rail will now go into service next spring, and concerts in city parks return this summer. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, June 20th, 2024. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Community leaders representing United Interfaith Action of Southeastern Massachusetts questioned city and state officials seeking solutions to increase affordable housing options in Fall River. Those in attendance Monday at Good Shepherd Parish Hall on South Main Street are concerned that rising rents are making Fall River less affordable. UIA community leader Al Arujo said 64% of the city's population are renters, and inflation is forcing residents to spend more on housing.
Our data shows that we have 24% of the households in Fall River spend more than 50% of their entire income just for housing, right? So, at a minimum wage job, right, $15 an hour, 2,080 hours a year is full-time, right? That's $30,000 a year. Divide by 12, that's $2,500 a month. There are rents that are $2,500 a month, right? So even with two people working full-time, just trying to, make it, right? It's 50% of your income at times, right? That is way overboard. So when more than 50% of your income is going for just housing, where's the car, where's the food, where's the daycare, where's your medical bills, right? Where's insurance? I mean, it's on and on and on.
City resident Ronell Clark shared his story of housing insecurity. He's battled addiction, has been homeless, and is struggling to afford his modest living arrangements.
I've been on federal housing lists for over 2 years. I check the wait list status every day. The last time I checked, I was 116 on the list. I recently got into a rooming house. I'm thankful for that, but it's still a challenge. I make $900 a month on disability, and my rent is $800 a month. Almost 100% of my income goes to housing. I have $100 left a month. It's been hard. As someone who has a criminal record, I did my time, but it's hard to find someone to offer you a job. As someone in recovery, I have to take it one day at a time. I don't give up. I do it for my daughter. Knowing there are people who love and care for me keeps me going. I don't want the city to give up on me or other people out there just like me. Let's take the abandoned buildings and create housing for people like me who cannot afford $1,200 a month in rent.
UIA members sought support from State Representatives Paul Schmidt and Carol Fiola on a proposal for cities and towns to impose a fee on home sales of over $1 million that can be used for rent subsidies or affordable home construction. The real estate transfer tax is currently before the Senate. Representative Schmid said the bigger issue is mandating suburbs around Fall River to do more to create their fair share of affordable housing.
I live in Westport. If Westport had the same percent of affordable housing that Fall River does, we would have 1,200 more affordable housing units in this area. 1,200. But the issue is that it is very hard to do affordable housing in Westport. I won't bore you with the reasons. But if you could bring this group of people, if all of you could come to Westport and have this kind of meeting, I think you would be doing so much more for affordable housing in this area than you can imagine. So please think about that.
Representative Fiola said more money for affordable housing is on the table as part of the House's $6.2 billion housing bond bill, which will incentivize the creation of more housing statewide.
We are down right now in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts 200,000 units of housing. If we are to be able to build lots of different type of housing, that creates less demand on the supply, right? You hear the term supply and demand. The problem right now is we don't have the supply and the demand is very high. And that is why you, friends, neighbors, our people in Fall River, as they are all across the state, are paying crazy amounts of rent and of course for home ownership as well.
Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan was also given targeted questions about making housing more affordable. On whether he supports the creation of inclusionary zoning to require developers to make at least 10% of their housing units affordable, the mayor said enforcement is difficult, and the communities in Massachusetts with such a policy have not seen rents drop.
On average, Boston is $1,500 to $2,000 a month more than Fall River for rent. How's that working out for them? Brockton, more than Fall River. Taunton, more than Fall River. Our rents are the lowest right now when we don't have inclusionary zoning. Inclusionary zoning is done by developers. Unless she wants to put on some kind of a restriction that mandates they build it, that's a different animal. But you cannot make people build the kind of housing you want. It's just not the way the world works. I wish we could, but it doesn't work that way. To get up here and tell me how great inclusionary zoning is working when she's reading cities and towns, the rents are higher than Fall River, substantially higher. We don't need that in Fall River. We need to try to keep our rents lower. And what she's talking about makes the rents go higher because developers do it when they're forced to do it only to add the rents higher on the other end of their units.
In terms of creating additional public housing paid for by the federal government, the mayor said the idea sounds like a good one, but ongoing costs, along with which residents will qualify, make the plan less appealing.
If you look at what they do, there's no guarantee Fall River people get those units. We're in this fight right now. I have 15 units right now at Maple Gardens. 15 units, renovated, ready to go. We can't even make sure Fall River people get them. We're asking people from Worcester, Quincy, Springfield, because that's the list we have to draw off of. If I could put my Fall River residents in that place, we would fill it this week. But it doesn't work that way, because every time I ask somebody, would you like to go? She's from Quincy, she has 10 days to accept or reject. So 10 days run out, we kill another week and a half, then we ask someone from Worcester, then we ask someone from Lawrence. We don't have the ability to skip the list and give Fall River preference. That's something, if they talk about that, I would be more inclined to do it.
The mayor was also asked about converting the former Watuppa Heights site into affordable housing. The mayor said the plans for that site are tied up in court and the land is not controlled by the city, but rather the Fall River Housing Authority. Late last week, the administration of the MBTA was in Fall River to provide an update on the launch of SouthCoast Rail. MBTA General Manager and CEO Philip Eng said signal testing and safety protocols on local tracks are taking longer than anticipated, and the launch of commuter service will be pushed back until May of 2025.
If we were to expedite, rush, miss a step, we could make the schedule worse, but worst case, we would do something that's not safe, and we don't want to do that for any riders that we allow on the trains and our employees. It's very important to us to make sure that we're focused on delivering as soon as possible, but in the right manner, the commuter rail service that's so vital to everyone here. We certainly understand not only for the folks that want to use the system going into and out of Boston, but also local communities to local communities. We know how important this is to local economic development, to transit-oriented development, and the future quality of life here. So we're really focused on this.
Project manager Karen Anton provided a detailed timeline of what needs to be accomplished between now and next spring.
Complete track and certification, that's completed now. Start the test trains, it's going to be on Monday, June 17th. Signal testing for ATC crossings and PTC has already started. As I indicated, it's going to run through the end of January. Keolis dispatching is going to start the beginning of August. Complete the stations and the layovers, as I said, September. Keolis operations is going to start end of January. We're going to turn the fully tested FRA tested at the project level over to railroad operations. Railroad operations is going to go through the new starts process, which takes about 90 days, and so we're expecting that we'll be in revenue service in the spring.
It's still unknown what the train schedule will be like out of Fall River and whether it will include weekend service. Mr. Eng did provide an update on what the fare to ride from Fall River to Boston will be.
And while some stations are on the bubble of Zone 9 and Zone 8, we reviewed it and we made the decision that all of these stations, based on the mileage traveled, are comparable to our Zone 8. So we're going to have all of these stations as Zone 8. Something else that's important is, as our board voted on and approved, low-income fare, which we're excited about as well. We'll be back to talk more about low-income fares, but low-income fares will be applicable to commuter rail as it will be to every mode that we're running. So that's another opportunity for folks to be able to use mass transportation. And again, we'll come back one more with that. But we wanted to be able to walk through how people can apply and pursue low-income fares. But this was something that I know people wanted to also know what our fare structure would be.
Response to the updated schedule was not well received by some. Ken Fiola, Executive Vice President of Bristol County Economic Development Consultants, which works with city entities to boost economic development opportunities, called for the MBTA to be more forthcoming in sharing information.
So I think, if nothing else, I think the MBTA owes this region and this city and the residents of this area an apology for misleading the entire region with false promises and deadlines. And I understand that they may not have occurred under your watch, but I really have to question the transparency of the process to date and the information that's been disseminated to date. So we're working on this for 30 plus years. I guess another year is not going to kill us, okay? But it does have an impact on things we're doing locally here. There's a lot of private investment that's being considered in this region based upon a commuter rail schedule that's definitive. So when we're talking to businesses that are looking to invest and we're talking to people that wanted to take the commuter rail, we're essentially have been given this misleading information and we disseminated that onto them, and that undermines our credibility.
Fall River will soon see commuter trains along the tracks in the coming weeks as testing continues. Residents are advised to stay away from the tracks at all times as speeds of those test trains may reach 79 miles per hour. Last week, the playground at the Doran School was dedicated to a former city councilor and local business owner. Alfredo Alves served on the city council and was a longtime owner of the Tabacaria Acoriana or TA restaurant on South Main Street. He also spent his time donating resources to many city initiatives, including the Fall River Public Schools. At the playground dedication last week, City Councilor Linda Pereira said Mr. Alves was one of the best city councilors she has served with.
But Al always really cared about education. Unfortunately, I never met his dad, but I know his mom. I remember her. She was a caring, loving person, as is his sister Maria. It was a family that grew up helping other people. And she said to me one day, the more you give out of your right hand, the more you get back in your left. And I never forgot when she told me that. But he cared so much about education and did so much for the Portuguese community. And the one person he was so proud of was his nephew, who is now a doctor, a surgeon, I believe. So, and that he talks about that all the time. But But after a council meeting, it was always great to go by the restaurant, have a steak sandwich, and complain about everything that happened at a council meeting, and we would laugh. He did a radio skit over at WHTB too, again, just focusing on education, on children, and our community. This is a beautiful, beautiful sign, and I can't be any prouder that this was done. So thank you to every single person who is involved in this. You're honoring a hero of Fall River.
Mr. Alves' sister, Maria Furman Duffy, said he dedicated himself completely to the city of Fall River.
It's been 5 years since he passed, and I continue to think that he's with us in spirit and in our hearts. His friends were the most important thing to him. I often try to get Al to move to Providence or some other place where he could get a bigger home, and he said never, never leaving Fall River. This was his home. He loved driving down the street and knowing everybody and waving to everybody and going, no matter where he went, somebody knew him. Even in the Azores, when we would be walking down the street, oh, Mr. Rouse, what are you doing here? So whether it's here or in the Azores, he was pretty well known and loved. And today we honor his legacy with this incredibly special plaque. I was expecting this little thing, and there it is, you know, a really well done plaque. And I will forever be grateful that you all took the time and made the effort to remember him.
We'll be back with more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Maintenance Technician. Ross Seafoods, located at 481 Current Road, is seeking a full-time maintenance technician responsible for completing preventative, predictive, and reactive industrial maintenance throughout the facility. Job number 209-85030. Program Aid Family Service Association, located at 151 Rock Street, is looking for a full-time program aide to assist the activity director and program coordinator with the day-to-day implementation of activities of the program's daily operation. Job number 209-82581. Personal Lines Insurance Account Manager, Stafford & Company Insurance Agency, located at 1000 North Main Street, seeks a full-time personal lines insurance account manager responsible for providing customer service and support to clients. Job number 209-83775. Kitchen Line Staff Associate. The Fall River Grill, located at 363 2nd Street, is looking for a part-time kitchen line staff associate. For more information, call 508-673-9151. Bank 5, located at 4171 North Main Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Branch Assistant, job number 209-86018. Universal Banker, job number 209-86463. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
My name is David Perry. I'm the president of the Greater Fall River Food Pantry. And what we do here is we provide food to clients that are in need. We're always trying to get more people involved in what we're doing, and we're trying to concentrate on youth. You know, and it's all about helping people, and that's what we should all be doing, is helping someone. So it's a great opportunity for them to, come down here and give us a couple of hours a week. It's not long; it's 2 hours a day. And once they start volunteering, it's like a family. It really is. So getting these younger people involved. It's just great. It's great to see. It's great to have younger generations seeing what's going on in the real world, as we call it, and helping out.
I've gotten a new outlook on the community. I've been able to see all sides, helped me learn just a lot about Fall River as a whole.
We like to get students in from 14 years of age and older. It's not about the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry. It's about what the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry does as an outreach. We want to reach out to the community. Most schools require that the students put in volunteer hours. We're a perfect example of receiving those students, and that way they get their hours accredited, and it gives them a good learning experience.
Volunteering here made you feel good, you know, felt like you were helping out the community, and also it really helped me out with making my application stand out with having volunteer hours on them. Like when I'm applying for jobs, I've been on the hunt right now, and I've done a lot more interviews since I did charity work here. Makes you really stand out, and also just feels good helping out the community.
I love hearing other people's lives, how other people live, other people's families. It's interesting, and I really like to do this work.
Come down and see what it's like. Come down and take an opportunity to help someone else. You know, come and see what's really happening in the world out there.
Welcome back. A new summer tradition in Fall River returns next month. The Narrow Center for the Arts and Bristol County Savings Bank are sponsoring Summer Evenings in the Park, a series of music and family events hosted at 8 neighborhood parks across the city.
This is a free event. It's a very holistic event. It really brings what the Narrow Center for the Arts does on a daily basis right into the neighborhoods of Fall River. There's free food, there's art, and the other thing I want to say, every family goes home with a bag of groceries, which is compliments of the Greater Fall River Food Pantry and the Citizens for Citizens Food Pantry. And we really think that kind of ties the event together. Everybody gets to come in, have a good time, go home with something nice. And it's really a United Nations kind of event where we get people from all different walks of life come together. And I think it's important because people in the neighborhood get to meet their neighbors, and that's not something that everybody gets to do on a daily basis.
Mr. Norton says the events are designed to connect residents to others within their neighborhoods.
We probably get 300 people at each of these events, which is a lot for these neighborhoods. Most people can walk, no one has to drive their car, and I think that's the convenience of it. Because we've done similar free events on the waterfront of the Narrows, and we won't get the kind of attendance that we get when we go to people's neighborhoods. That's what we really found out about when we started doing the Summer's Evenings in the Park. After many years of thinking we're experts on the waterfront, we realized that if you want to make an impact on people, you go right to their neighborhoods, you bring it right to their front door, and it kind of breaks the barrier. I think there's sometimes this socioeconomic barrier between art and what people accept and what they think they're worthy for and all that. This breaks down all that, and the parents get to work with the kids on our projects, so it's nice. And so at each event there'll be some kind of music, it's either jazz or blues, and then we have CD Rec provides hot dogs and hamburgers, and the ice cream truck comes, so everyone gets a free ice cream. And then our boy Kevin Lamb, he is the spray paint art guru. Every kid goes home with a 5x7 spray paint art, and everyone looks great. Somehow Kevin makes everyone's spray painting artwork look great. So I think there's a sense of pride because these kids come away with actually, putting together a really nice quality piece of art they can take home, put it on their wall when they go home and said, I did this. So I think there's some kind of empowerment with kids and families to see if they can do that.
We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Rarity. Now Rarity is 2 years old. She's a medium or even long-haired black and white cat. She is female. She is very nice. She loves to get her attention. She's still playful at 2 years old. Now, as far as dogs are concerned, I will say you can't put her with dogs. She very much is not a fan. That big personality comes up and she puffs right up, and she, I don't know, maybe even a big old bulldog. She might take him down. So she doesn't do well with, unfortunately, with dogs. But again, she does do well with cats. Children, I would say probably best idea would be older children, maybe like over 10, something like that. Only because she can be a little persnickety sometimes. But yeah, if you think that you might be up to the task, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street here in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Today we have Maisie. She is a 1.5-year-old Irish setter. In a home, we'd like to see her with kids over 12 just because we don't know her background with them. Setters are a hunting breed, so they do have that prey drive, so she will probably be chasing like squirrels or bunnies in your backyard, so don't be surprised. But that also means that she's going to be very high energy. So we recommend a couple daily walks, play sessions if you can. Even doggy daycare would be a good idea, just to let her burn through that energy, you know. We also recommend training for her. She doesn't seem to know any cues at the moment. She doesn't shed too much, but we do recommend brushing maybe twice a week. An ideal home for her would be one that's pretty active. She'd be good for, you know, camping trips, going hiking, going to the beach. Kids we're putting as 12 plus just because we don't know her background with them. We don't think it would be an issue. She does seem very sweet and easygoing. If you're interested in meeting Maisie, come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, and meet Maisie today.
Coming up this Thursday, June 22nd at 11 o'clock, right here at the Fall River Public Library, we will be kicking off this year's Summer Reading Club, Be a Reading Ranger. We will be signing up children for the club that will be running 7 weeks. As children read books over those 7 weeks, they will be collecting little fish like this with their name on it. They will drop it into Albert the alligator's mouth, found in the children's room, and feed as many fish representing those books to Albert the alligator over the summer, collecting little prizes as you go. And at the end of the summer, he'll be coughing up all those fish, and we're going to have a raffle for some wonderful prizes, including a bicycle. So we hope you join us this coming Thursday, June 22nd at 11 o'clock, right on the library's front lawn. Bring a blanket, a picnic lunch, and enjoy the entertainment, the music of roly-poly guacamole. We will be having cotton candy as well as other surprises awaiting you. So we hope to see you here at the Fall River Public Library.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. The Fall Rivers Farmers Market reopened for the season last week. We leave you this week with a short preview. For all of us at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.